Hello you, welcome to Geekism and welcome to this overview of the 1.6 free update that has come to Planet Coaster. Here we're going to be taking a look at all the free stuff that came with the update today. If you want to check out the Studios DLC, that will be a separate video. I'll link it up in the corner there. So this is all the stuff that you get for absolutely nothing. First of all, we have some new terrain paints that are actually sort of physical things, concrete and tarmac, which is really quite good. So we've got a worn concrete. These won't look great because I'm just putting big waves of them down. And we have a concrete, a tarmac, we do get another tarmac there and a regular concrete as well, which is really nice. Now the question is, do these line up with the paths? That's going to be an interesting point for me. Oh yeah, it's pretty close, isn't it? So you're going to be able to sort of tie these in with the paths there. There we go. And it saves you having to use those weird little bits of floor pieces or whatever, hashtag spooky door by the way, to line things up. So that's a really nice use of those. And again with tarmac, let's have a look. Standard asphalt path, does that work here? Not quite, but it's pretty close. So again, you're going to be able to use these new paints to fill out areas like that. The only thing is, when you use it as custom, you do get these weird bits in the park when you load in, so you have to go around and tidy those up before you really dive in and get started. So that's a cute new feature. The biggest feature probably of the free updates, if you're into that sort of thing, is hotels. So you'll find them in the shops and facilities menu. You have a foyer like so, that is the first thing you're going to place down, and then you have these crazy looking boxes like this. So we have a regular room and a deluxe room, and if you put these in the same building, they all link together. The guests themselves don't actually have to get to these. It's more of a management thing. The idea is that you actually need the physical space in the map to accommodate guests. So that's how this kind of works. So the guests go in here. It works like a TARDIS, works like toilets or anything else. But then they can only go in if there's rooms for them. Okay. So when we're done there, we can come out. We can have a look at the new setup here. So we can call it whatever we want to. So we'll call it the Geekism Hotel. As you can see, it looks amazing. Geekism Hote, we'll call it. It has very low prestige because the idea with prestige is going to be based around scenery, how many rooms there are, and also hotel perks, which you'll find in the options here. We have no of the 100 rooms used at the moment, but we can connect them up by doing this. So we click confirm. So now we have 2 out of 100 rooms. We have a standard room and we have a luxury room. You can name them if you want to. Hotel prices, you can set the prices yourself, and obviously the more the prestige, the higher you'll be able to set the prices. They can have to have a priority pass to stay in certain rooms. They can have in all the rooms or just the luxury rooms. And then the perks themselves, you can click these if you want to. They cost a little to run, but here we have room service. You get prestige and happiness and a small boost of food and drink. Restaurant, again, medium food to boost to food and drink. Internet access, you get a little happiness. A spa, you get a lot of happiness, but it's expensive. And a gym, again, nice prestige boost, and medium boost to adult happiness. So all of these you can click if you want to. They're just numbers on our list. You don't actually see any physical changes, and then you can see how much you're actually making in the hotel. So it looks a bit crazy like that. It looks a little bit abstract. Obviously, it's your job to make them look good. It does come with a few you can use, which is nice. So this is the one they showed on the live stream, like a fairy tale style one. But it also comes with a quite a nice castle themed one. So let's put this down so we can actually see where how we get into it. So here's where the guests will enter. Then inside here you can see that they've actually just sort of stacked all these up to create rooms. So you have to physically have the space for these boxes, although technically you can just put them under the ground if you want. You have to physically have the space for these boxes to make use of the hotel, which is pretty nice. Let's have a look at a few other ones. We got Parkside Hotel. Oh, that's nice. That's a bit rustic. I like that one a lot, actually. I think with a bit of tweaking, that could be a really nice build. I like that one a lot, actually. That would almost be in Pinewood Hills. Riviera Hotel, which is a tiny little one. A slightly bigger one. These would be for like a street of them, I guess. And then a really tiny little western one, which just shows you that you can make these work with real small space if you want to. This is just like six or 7 rooms, I guess. As long as there's that one there they can go into, you're all good. Next up, we have some new wall panels. We have a set that are just plain and a set that are lit. And these are just panels that you can select the colour on. So we'll change the colour up here to be like a nice yellow. Oh no, not a yellow at all. It's to be an awful colour. There we go. So they're quite useful, I guess, for making dance floors. But these come with a new feature in the game that you can now trigger colours on any item that has flexicolour, which is what they call items that you can change the colour of them for. So to do this, we're going to have a look at display sequences and tools, because we now have a little box here which is ride cam time machine. We'll get to that in a moment, but let's put down our display sequence for 1 second. And if we go in here and we're going to make a trigger sequence, and in a first display group we're going to have this item here, colorable panel. Okay, we're going to click confirm. So in this panel we can now open it up, and we can now have change color on trigger. So let's click change color on trigger. We're going to change it to that awful color there. Okay, and then when we play, you'll see it changes colour. Okay, so that's pretty simple stuff. Let's set it to be a little bit later. Let's set it to be 1 second, and let's also add this one in as well. And with this one, we're gonna we can change back and forth, which is quite good. But we'll change colour for now to a nice red. This time we'll fade it. Okay, and the fade time takes about 3 seconds. That sounds good. And we'll set that to go off in 4 seconds. So now when we click this. Oh, that first one stays changed. That's interesting, isn't it? So let's change it to a different colour again. Change it to a grey. Why not? That sounds awful. So we play it in a second. Change to grey. It didn't, but you'll see this one now. Interestingly, we select that one to grey. Sorry, my mistake. So let's change this one to blue. Okay. There we go. Oh, I don't quite know what's happened there. Anyway, it's going to take a bit of ironing out. The trigger sequence isn't great, is it? Let's be honest. But you can now change the items of colour. So these panels are quite interesting. They're going to be useful for making dance floors and nice bright areas as well. But like I say, this actually works for pretty much anything in the game that is colourable. So if we, for instance, have a look at our lights and place down the sort of standard coloured light. It to the ground so we can see what's going on, and delete it because that's an awesome thing to do. Let's try that again. There we go, points to the ground so we can see what's going on. Perfect. Okay, so let's make this nighttime so we can see it. So now what we'll be able to do, edit trigger sequence and add a new group, and in this group we'll click that light, and so that here now what we can do is repeat toggle swap colour on trigger is what we want to do. Swap colour to red, I guess. Okay. Play for a second and fade over half a second. That sounds good. So now when we play that, there we go. Is that actually changed the colour of the light? That can't be right. Surely that can't be right. Oh, I don't know. I can't quite figure that out. But it looks like this is fixed. That didn't work in the last one, so they figured that out now. So we can now do lights flashing at least. But yeah, it's going to take a bit of work because let's be honest, the display sequence is a load of crap. But it's a nice idea. So let's see what people can do with it. Okay, here's one I think is actually going to be quite useful. This is the day and night time machine. Ride cam time machine it's called. So we're going to click that down there, and we're going to set a visual time of midnight, and we're going to set no fade. Okay, so what this is going to do then is if we go into our ride here, this works with pretty much any track ride I believe, and we're going to set up a trigger. So we're going to make a trigger sequence, we're going to add a trigger, that's perfect there, and connect object to trigger, it's going to be you, confirm. So when we run this round, you'll actually see nothing happen. It's just a pretty standard ride, off it goes. And obviously you would theme this and do whatever you want to do with it. Hashtag spooky door, by the way. And it would go all the way around there and do whatever it needs to do, okay? But now, if we play it and we go into ride cam, you'll see that as it hits that point where the trigger was, it changes to, 12 PM is noon, isn't it? So sorry, let's change that to 12 AM. So we can actually see something a bit more permanent happen. There we go, let's try that again. Now as we hit the tracking sequence, bingo, it goes to nighttime. So basically, this might sound useless, but what this does, the problem is it's going as each car goes past there, so it needs a bit of tinkering to get the timings right, because obviously you set it for the length of the ride. What this does means that you can really have dark rides. It's a bit of a fix, this one, but I think it's a relatively elegant solution, to be honest with you. And it means that you don't have to build your dark rides underground. You can just build them like normal, and then when you come to ride them, it goes night. So here we can do it's connected to Hoax 1, and you can connect it to basically any ride you want, really. So I think it actually works quite nicely, although it kind of seems messed up a little bit when there's 3 tracks going over it. Again, it's something I'm going to have to play with a little bit more. Another neat feature with track rides this time round is the ability to do stop track. So we can build that in there and then carry it that way. And can we auto-complete? Will it manage it? Oh, it will, that's good. Okay, so here we've got a stop track. Allows the ride to be stopped for a certain amount of time. Although I can't see the option where it allows me to pick where it gets stopped. But hopefully we'll see this come up now. And it heads out. I've just used the sleigh ride here just because it was the first one I clicked on, to be honest with you. So it comes into here and stops. And then I hope after a short amount of time it'll carry on again. There we go. So all we need to do is go to utility settings and then you can choose how long it waits for. So anything between 1 and a minute, pretty impressive. So that's going to be great for the new track rides that come with the Studio Pack, the Studio Backlot Tour, but also ghost trains, things like that. Again, really useful. Okay, next up, a quality of life feature that has been a long time coming, I think, and that is tunnelable paths. Yeah. So now what we can do is with our pathing tool, we can actually tunnel into scenery, to terrain. So let's put a bit of terrain up here so you can see, and it automatically does it as we know already, which is fine. But now if we go back to our paths and click them in this way, let's pick a one we can see a bit better, and it absolutely doesn't do it. Tunneling on, there we go. And then we can do that and it figures it out nicely and we'll come around. So again, it's a little jank like it is when you do a ride basically, but it does actually figure out how to do tunneling, which is quite cool. I don't see that being particularly useful for actual tunneling, but I do feel like it's going to be quite useful for doing that kind of stuff, you know, around the sides of buildings and stuff, because then all it's going to be is going to be a case of going back into terrain and just kind of neatening bits up. Obviously you spend more time on it, but you're going to be able to do stuff like that, and that's going to be quite nice. So yeah, nice new feature, nice to see come into the game. Here is a big one, and actually a little tricky to find when you first look for it because they look like relatively dark panels. But we now have straight up, honest to goodness, glass in the game. They've actually given us some really nice use of sizes here. So we've got 4x4, and then it goes down. So 2x4, 2x2, 1x2, and this tiny little 1x1, which is, let's be honest, that's the one that people are going to use. Really nice to see this finally added, and also if you make it black it's clear, but also you can make it white and you get a nice sort of white. It's completely colorable. You get some really great options. Oh, really useful pieces. So good to see those come in a free pack and not tied into a DLC. Here's another big one. I haven't built these as part of a building, but I can now go down to my multi-select. I can click a few of them and I can press Control D and it duplicates. We had to use build blueprints and sticking a log down in the first place and all that sort of stuff before. I kind of can't believe it's taken them so long to do that, if it's possible to do. I assumed it just wasn't possible to do with their current system, but that is so nice to see. Oh, that's going to be so useful. And the last thing's a small thing, to be honest, but going to be quite frustrating for people, so nice to see back in the game. One thing we couldn't do before was test our transport rides, and it sounds silly, but it's useful if you're building tunnels around them and stuff like that. You want to be able to see clearance. You shouldn't really have to wait for people to get on. You should be able to test them like we always used to be able to, and crash them like that. And now we've got a crashing train animatronic in the game. It only seems right that we can crash our own trains as well. So there you go, there's a brief overview of the free features that have come to Pinewood this week in the 1.6 update. Remember, if you want to check out the Studios Pack, which is the new paid DLC, there'll be a link in the description for that. And also, if you're still on the fence about the Studio DLC and you'd like to win a copy, we've also got a competition to give a copy away. So again, there'll be a link for that one in the description too. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, you can give us a like. It really does help out the channel. And if you're not already, don't forget to subscribe. Any thoughts, queries, or suggestions, you can pop them down in the comments. And if you fancy chat, you can find me on Twitter. I'm at John T. Sparrow. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.